So I keep seeing this thing on Twitter, and at first I genuinely thought it wasn't real. I was like, this can't be real. This has to be fake. It was like, or I mean, like, actually what I really thought it was a picture of a teacher, like an adult, with like a blonde wig, presumably, and like in feminine clothes, wearing like huge, gigantic, unreasonably proportioned prosthetic breasts, or presumably prosthetic breasts. Now, what I thought this was at first was like, did anybody else's high school have like Spirit Week? And during Spirit Week, you would have like wear your pajamas day or like crazy hat day, and shit like that. At least one of my high schools, they had a cross-dressing day. And like the sports teams would be like, the guys would come in the cheerleaders' outfits and the girls would come in the shoulder pads and the uniform for the footballers, you know, and then like cross-dressing was one of the funny theme days in Spirit Week at various points. So honestly, that's what I thought this was at first, if I'm just gonna be totally honest. Basically, I thought it was a joke, is to say. But apparently, it seems like this might be like a real thing that happened and is not just a joke. I loved that cross-dressing stuff. The girls actually played football all dressed up in actual sports gear. That's cool. I don't think we did that far. The guys might have done a cheerleading routine of some sort, but I can't remember if the girls actually did anything in the football gear. But yeah, so I earnestly thought that this was just being done for a joke, but it seems like this might actually be a trans person. And so I wanted to look at this article a bit here. School defends gender rights of trans teacher with giant prosthetic breasts. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna have to censor this for YouTube later. So for now, like, let's hope that I don't get caught out for it, because it is, like, in my mind, borders on being kind of inappropriate. And at least I think that, you know, YouTube would potentially flag it as inappropriate. So a Canadian school board is standing behind a trans teacher who sparked protest after turning up to classes with, quote, clownish giant prosthetic breasts. The blonde high school teacher went viral after being filmed operating a cutoff saw in class while wearing tight black shorts and balloon-like breasts drooping around the waist in a tight striped top. There were images taken by pupils at the school in Canada showing that the same teacher in other outfits with huge nipples protruding from the fake bust. And we're about to get to the picture part. Like, obviously you can see this, you know, Tucker Carlson thing right here, which we will watch in a second. But for now, the school district confirmed that the person getting the attention online was a high school teacher. They refused to identify the educator while warning that the wrong person had been named in online reports. Some disturbed pupils have skipped classes held by this teacher, who began identifying as female last year. So this is the person that we're talking about here. This is the big mommy milkers in question, all right? So, oh wow, apparently one pupil said, the kids here most definitely don't think it's normal, but realistically we can't say anything. I don't think the school can fire the teacher. There have been protests and angry complaints, apparently. Here's another picture taken by a student. There have been phone calls made to the school that haven't been the most pleasant. The board was creating a safety plan to make sure the teacher is protected. Apparently protecting gender rights is the stance that the school board is taking, and they are standing behind the teacher. Okay, so here's a bigger picture of her operating the saw. Now, this does seem to me like, I mean, like, I personally wouldn't consider that a super safe operation. If, like, I mean, I don't know, I guess the titties are so far down her body that her arms are fairly unencumbered. Like, if they drooped less, then they would be in the way more. I don't know. This teacher is an extremely effective teacher. All the kids love being in the class. There had to be some disconnect because pupils recorded the teacher in the class. Someone said it's clownish. It seems sexist because of the exaggerated nature of the breasts with nipples protruding. I think a lot of young women at the school wouldn't just feel uncomfortable. They'd feel mocked. So here's the thing. Like, I was actually about to say, she insisted a school would equally be expected to step in if a teacher came in with natural breasts, nipples protruding, and a low-cut top and no bra. So that is one of the things I will say about this. Like, first of all, like, it is possible for human beings, even human beings who are thin-ish like this person, to have gigantic pendulous breasts like that. It's called like gigantomastia, I think is what it's called. Like, it's an actual condition where, and I think it's probably genetic, where you just have like enormous gigantic titties, and it's not your fault and you can't control it. And if that person was a teacher, you know, there have already been some conversations about like, should this teacher get fired? Let's see. Okay, so yeah, this is like one example. There have already been situations lately where teachers with exaggerated body features are being questioned for wearing, quote, inappropriate outfits. Like this teacher, like she just has a dumpy ass, like an extraordinarily large ass. So if she wears anything that's not like, look at that. Like, actually this might be like several different people. I was looking at the clothes and the ass and not the face. Or is this just the one teacher? But yeah, like it's like you cannot wear jeans without it looking crazy, right? And then she does wear looser outfits. Like this is a kind of looser outfit. This one's definitely a looser outfit. This skirt right here is a looser outfit. Like she just exists as a woman with proportions that are like very exaggerated, and there's not much you can do about that, right? Does she not deserve to be a teacher because of her body features, right? Like that's like, is it so much of a distraction and it's so inappropriate that she's not allowed to be a teacher? I don't think that's reasonable, you know? I do think that certain limitations are understandable. Like, for example, the nipples. I don't think the nipples are appropriate. And in particular, like the reason why ultimately I think I feel that way is because if I were a student, I would not, like if my nipples were visible as a student, I would be sent to the office and required to put on a bra or put on a jacket or something to cover up. Like I know what it's like because I was a female teenager, you know, I know what the rules being applied to you is like, and that's how it would go. Hit like on the video if you hate fucking sexism. Yeah, so I just don't think that if a student would get in trouble for this. I don't think that the teacher should be able to just have the nipples out. You can't do anything about natural gigantomastia, but if her dysphoria is such that she's like, I feel like I should have titties this big, that's fine. I don't really care about the comical size of the breasts unless they present a danger in the shop environment. Like if she feels like she can do this safely, then sure. If it's going to be a safety issue, then maybe not. But like, as long as she's wearing a bra, in my opinion, that is like my official stance on this, is that I don't think should be penalized for having gigantic tits, whether they're natural or prosthetic. I think that she should wear a bra and cover her nipples. I don't think that that is something that people would generally consider to be professionally appropriate. And if the girls in the school would be penalized for just letting them sway out there with the nipples all hard, you know, like that teacher should be held to the same standard, whether cisgender or trans. Like I earnestly, like, this has nothing to do with her being trans specifically. Like any teacher with huge tits and like really prominent nipples should be wearing a bra in a professional environment like a school. Like, I think that that's fair. Yeah, someone said here, this has nothing to do with trans rights. It goes beyond an incident of wokeness or political correctness. I guess you could say, like, maybe I am inadvertently advocating for something misogynistic in the idea that, like, a woman's body should be covered up or whatever. But, like, I'm just saying with, like, the currently existing standards by which we go, you know, like, if the current standard is female students whose nipples are showing through their shirt are sent home, then the teacher should be held to the same standard, right? I guess I shouldn't say that I'm necessarily full-throatedly advocating that women's bodies should be covered up. I mean, her body is covered up. You can just see her nipples, the impression of them through her shirt. And like, is it okay that we consider that unprofessional? Like, that's a whole question that this kind of opens up. It just kind of like, it does create interesting conversations that we could potentially have on that regard, you know? I do want to watch this Tucker Carlson thing really quick, just to kind of respond to what he says, see if there's anything interesting in there. Yeah, and we'll make sure that volumes are okay. Let's do this and watch the silly band talk.
Surfaced on the internet from a place called Trafalgar High School in Oakville, Ontario. That's right across the lake from Niagara Falls. These videos show a teacher called Stephen Hanna, who apparently has been employed at Trafalgar High for several years.
Is that the actual name? Like, is this, because is it a male teacher dressing up for like a fucking thing? Or is it like a trans teacher? Like, is it a male teacher making a fucking weird point? Or is it an actual trans person? Like, I think that's, I mean, like, why, did you just dead name the person? Like, there was not even a, oh, they go by this other name. Or no. Didn't we just read in this article that, we read in this article that the person whose name has been popularized is not the right name. The school district said we don't want to name the teacher, but that you can't go with the name that you've been spreading. So is Tucker Carlson just engaging in that? Did he just straight up like warning that the wrong person had been named in online reports? I guess Tucker Carlson is just like misinformation peddling now. I mean, that's pretty standard. That sounds like about right.
Recently, Hannah decided to dress like a woman, or more precisely, as a grotesque caricature of a woman, not a real woman, but a kind of pneumatically inflated Marilyn Monroe lookalike. As part of his costume, Hannah strapped on a pair of gigantic prosthetic breasts, each the size of a 10-pound watermelon. We're not exaggerating here.
That's I'm in a meme group that's like making fun of Americans for, you know, like using various objects as a reference for size, like the idea of like using a foot for size instead of, so it's like the 10-pound watermelon as a, oh my god, it's just ridiculous to me. Yes, I don't know how much they weigh each. How do you know how much a watermelon weighs by looking at it? So is there like an approximate size range that you just know what to look? I don't know. How does Tucker Carlson know what to look for? Are you a professional at growing watermelons, sir? Something makes me doubt that.
They're visible from at least 100 yards away, if not from space. We'll show you the picture we are right now on the screen.
So yeah, I've basically like run through my opinion on that, which is that I don't really care about whether she's wearing the giant titties. I think that she should be wearing a bra, or otherwise making it so where the nipples do not show as much. And like, I mean, like, I don't really understand why you would wear the giant titties that are that giant, but I cannot like condemn this woman. I can't be like, she's a pervert, like terrible, like can't believe that she would do such a thing. The teenagers, think of the children. Like, no, like sometimes people just have actual bodies like that. So someone like modifying their appearance, whether through prosthetic or surgery, to have what is a totally pre-existing body type, gigantomastia or whatever, yeah, I think there's not really a particular problem I have with that. Just keep the professionalism standards going, as far as treating the students and the teachers the same, you know? Yeah, and I will say, yeah, again, that the giant boobs do look pretty unsafe in that classroom. And I mean, they don't like look proportionate to her. Like, if she was my friend, I would be like, girl, it's like, this look is snatched. Is that right? Is that the way to say what I'm trying to say? Like, don't, please. So like, sometimes there's not affordable bras for that size. I mean, yes, I understand that it might be difficult to find bras of that size, which might be one reason to criticize wearing prosthetics that size. But like, you gotta wear pasties or something. Like, you gotta, you know, they make like for breastfeeding women, because sometimes you'll leak and then you don't want to ruin your bra. So they make these like circular, really thick pads that you just like put in your bra over your nipple, so that when you leak breast shit, you'll like not have to clean it up or whatever and not ruin your bra. So you could just like tape one of those down. I would say that's effective. But yeah, like Lillian said, if there are people with bodies like that, emulating it is still hella weird. Like, there are trans women who like, I mean, maybe, I don't actually know if this is the case. I can imagine a hypothetical trans woman who like wears a pad in her underwear once in a while. Like, I can imagine that, I don't know. I can imagine that people do all kinds of weird shit. I mean, like, trans men like shave their face while it's still a baby shave. Like, there's nothing to shave. And I'm like, I don't really get that behavior either. Like, these things that are like, don't make much sense and might be kind of strange. Like, I just don't have it in me to care anymore. I just don't have it in me to judge that anymore. I'm just like, man, you do what you're gonna do. I didn't mean man in terms in like a specific gendered way or anything, but yeah, intentions. That's basically where we landed. Like, I mean, where I landed at least. Like, the boob thing would be less weird if they were wearing a bra, but people don't sell bras that big, so I understand the barrier. I think you should wear like pasties, or I was saying that like you can get like a pad that absorbs breast milk for if you're breastfeeding and you don't want to leak into your bra, and like just tape one of those down. That would be good. Thank you so much to everyone who supports the channel. This is my full-time job. You are all very much appreciated. And I want to especially shout out some of my patrons. We have Tiago Nascimento, Mersh Rolvog, Brandon, Maurice Taylor, Jovian F. Gaudreau, Bean, Heather Clarkson, Amanda B., Sarah A., Wellington Marcus, R. Halverson, Athiet, Decoy Duck, Michelle Winter, Suzanne Maynard, Nova, Elizabeth Bartell, and Mr. Atheist.